Okay, this is going to be an introduction to oil pastels. Oil pastels are one of my all-time favorite materials to work with because of the variety of results that you can get from them, and they're also amazing at blending. So what I have here are, I'm at home, so these are my own personal oil pastels. I'm going to show you the different levels that I have here at home. So this level right here, this is going to be your base oil pastel. We have these at school. I'm going to whip out some nicer ones for you to use at school because I ordered some higher quality that are more close to this quality. This is your lowest quality. This is what I let the elementary kids use because, well, they just don't need that quality of stuff. I mean, you're still going to get decent blending out of them. What I love about the pastels is how well they blend together. Look at that. They blend really beautifully. So this is your low quality oil pastel. The lower quality are often called crepes, but it's still a different type of oil pastel. If you hear crepe, it pretty much just means a lower quality oil pastel. So that is that one. The next one I have, it's called Fiber Castle. It is the brand I used most of the time. You'll see you get a richer, deeper color out of that, and it also has a better blend quality. So say I want to blend that purple into that pink, kind of like that. You can get some beautiful results. They're really soft to work with. So that's my Fiber Castle kind of oil pastel. And the kind that I'm going to be working with for my example is my nice set. They're called Van Gogh. These are the top quality oil pastels, and I just use them because, look at that. You get such nice color out of them. And they're so much more blendable and soft than when you compare them to this brand. This and this, there's a difference, but it's not major to the point where it's going to change, you know, everything. You can see that does blend smoother together than that one, but just a difference in branding and quality. So I'll set those aside. What I want to show you next is I'm going to show you how to compare. A lot of people call oil pastels fancy crayons. They don't understand the difference between an oil pastel and a crayon. So here's one of my pastels and here's a crayon. When you draw with a crayon, I'm going to try to blend, okay? So I'm going to blend this and a red crayon together. You can blend. I'm blending. But it takes a lot more practice. This is going to be much, much harder for you as a student to blend these together. Working with crayons is actually a lot. Crayons are an underrated art material. People think they're the easiest art material. If you use them right, they're actually very difficult to use, and you can get some beautiful results out of crayons. So there's the crayons. The oil pastels, if I was going to blend this and red together, similar colors, show you the difference a little bit here. They're much, much, much softer. The other thing you can do with oil pastels that you cannot do with crayons, if I take a paper towel over these crayons, it does nothing. It comes off a little bit on here, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. If I do it on here, watch what happens. Really soft, really blendable, totally completely different than the crayon. So these are not fancy crayons. They're totally different art material. You're going to use it for totally different stuff. Oil pastels are made out of oil. Or no, I'm sorry, they're made out of wax. They're made out of a wax oil base. Same as crayons. That's why I think a lot of times they get flung together. You can do a wax resist with either crayons or pastel, and I'm going to show you what that means. A wax resist, it's called an oil resist, an oil pastel resist. There's several different names for it. I normally call it just a wax resist. So you put that down. This is what it means. Oil and water don't mix. Wax and water don't mix. So watch what happens if I take some watercolor and I put it over top. I'm going to take some water on here. Let's go with green. Take some green. Watch. It's totally It's not even touching either one of them, the crayon or the pastel. It just beads right off. Watch this. Bet it turns into beads. It doesn't want to touch it because oil and water do not like each other. They're not fans of each other. Move that over. Watch out, Sophie. My cat's over here watching everything I'm doing. So here she is. Say hi. Yeah, she's getting in my way. Anyway, so they don't like each other. Now the point of showing you this is we do some super cool stuff with a crayon resist or a oil pastel watercolor resist. It's one of my absolute favorite techniques to do. So first, as part of this tutorial on the oil pastels, what I'm going to show you is how I would shade a sphere with oil pastels. So let's say I want to do a green sphere here. What a lot of times we do wrong is we grab one color, one tone. We say, okay, I'm going to draw my sphere with this color. No. We need, excuse me, lots and lots of colors. There are blues in greens, a lot of blues and greens. Light, and I'll grab a yellow. I'll grab a white instead. Okay, that's how many colors I'm going to use for this one little sphere. I might not use them all, but I plan on it. We'll see what happens. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to bring my candle back out here. Do it right here. Not that. Okay. Going to grab a pencil. Trace it. Okay. Then I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase this because I don't want, whoa, dirty. I don't want any pencil to show through here because it will. So when you're drawing things on with pencil, you don't want to draw a whole lot because the pastel, it will show through. So I erase that out so I can just barely see it. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my darkest green that I have and I'm going to start just like we did the pencil. That's why I have you do the pencil sphere first because that is a really great foundation before you start working with color. So I'm going to put down my dark green. I'll lighten it up here. Next step, I'm going to come in with that deep indigo blue. I'm going to deepen that shade. Because the shadowy areas of green are blue. Blue is often a shadow color. That's why we talk about color theory, because this teaches you, that's a whole nother lesson, but that teaches you what your shadows are, your shadow colors and your highlight colors. So, and I'm going to come in and put it on that side and just do a little hint of that color there. Next, I'm going to transition into my next darkest green. Notice I'm not, a lot of us make a rainbow here. We go, da-da-da. Then you put your next darkest color. Then you put your next darkest color. Then you put your next darkest color. This, and you got a nice little happy rainbow. That's not what a sphere looks like. They're overlapped. So to do realistic drawing, or what color I was using, I think it was this one, you have to overlap them. So notice how I'm bringing it down into that darker color I used. Bring that down. Remember to shade like this. We're not shading back and forth. Talked about that in the pencil tutorial. Same technique. The only thing is we're making it a little bit more challenging by adding in color. It's always more challenging when you're working with color. But to me it's more fun too. So then I start to lighten just like I did with the pencil. Because I'm getting ready to transition to a new color. I guess I should mention once again my sun is coming from this direction. So sun. Okay, next lightest color is this one. I'm overlapping right down into that darker green. Taking my time. Art is not about rush and speed. Not in a rush at all. I'm just taking my time to make this look the way I want it to look. Okay, next lightest color. I'm not going to use a whole lot of that because I want to transition to this light. Come in with that nice light yellow green here to begin to create that highlight on the top of my sphere. fade it by pushing down less, using less pressure on the pastel. Notice I have not used my fingers or a paper towel to blend one time. And look at how smooth this looks. I'm not blending there, I'm just getting rid of the smudgies. And I'm barely touching either. You don't want to do this with pastel or you're going to smear the whole thing. I'm barely just touching it. So next I'm going to come in with my white. Now, oil pastels, you got to be careful on the whites and the light colors because look at how dirty that is. What I need to do is clean that off. Now how you clean that off? You find a scratch piece of paper. Never use any of my good paper for this. You're going to use a notebook sheet of paper, piece of newspaper, a piece of paper from the recycling bin, junk paper. Never ever let me catch you using my good paper to do this. I will not be a happy art teacher because that paper is expensive. So cleaned off, right? Because I don't want to get dirt on here because it won't come out. Blend like this. Now, to me that highlights a bit too much. I want it to be more blended. Come back in here. Now this is where, if you are having trouble, this is where you can bring out the blend. It really freaks me out to use my finger. I don't know why, so I don't do it, but it probably won't bother you, but it does bother me. So I use paper towels, Kleenex. No, don't use my Kleenex. At home I use Kleenexes. At school, don't use Kleenex because we're always low on Kleenex at school. So use paper towels or your finger. And I'm just touching this. Actually, you don't really even need to do that. Just blend it a little bit on the highlight. Look at that. That is what a sphere should look like. Now, if you remember, what we're forgetting is the shadow. So I'm going to do my shadow in that dark indigo blue. I will smudge out my shadow, because shadows naturally are more smudgy. Shadows are soft. They're kind of fuzzy like that. Okay. Next, it does bother me that my edges are a little bit jagged around here. I'm probably not going to take a whole lot of time to do it right now because I'm on video, but if this was like a real thing, I would come in here and very carefully bring it around and clean up my edges on there if it was a real project, but I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. Okay, so, couple things to remember. You don't want to throw out everything you've learned from pencil because pencil is a lot like any material that we're ever going to use. That's why we start out learning about pencil. So don't throw out that previous knowledge. You want to start with your darkest dark, work to light, overlapping, blending, using the motions that bring it like this. Don't forget your shadowing. With oil pastels, it's very easy to overblend. Don't overblend this. Do not overblend this. And in my personal opinion, you can never ever use too many colors. So I have used, I didn't use this. I used on this drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 colors for one sphere. This is impossible to do with 2 colors or even 3 colors. If you want it to look good, you need to use at least minimum of 4. So if you have less than 4 pastels, you need to go back and get more. Okay? So do not let me see you using less than 4. 4 is at least. If you're using 6 or 7, I will be so proud. So proud. So, here you go. This is your tutorial on oil pastels, a little introduction, and the next thing I'm going to film is your art project.